And welcome to LTAM, where the conversation starts. You have made it again to another LTAM reactions, and I'm happy to have you here. So, thanks for coming. Sorry about that. A couple things here. As you know, we always start off with stop what you're doing because I'm about to ruin you if you don't subscribe. It's free. Yeah, it's free. So click the subscribe button just like this. Bloop, 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 bloop. Hit the like button. Go bling. Oh, turn on those notifications as well too. You know, it's all about getting in there on the algorithm. You guys know how to do it, so make sure that you subscribe, like, comment, and then take a little trip over to LTAMnow.com. Make your donations, sign up for the monthly raffle. One lucky guy a month starting in March is going to get some cashola, some money. We're raising money for men. It doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, what race, sexual preference. We don't really care about any of that stuff. As long as you're a guy, you can sign up. So, you know, all you people out there that know a guy, tell the guys about it. And I think we're the only ones that are actually doing something like this in the man space. You know, I think, there's a lot of relief for really, women and all different types of other people. But there's really nothing out there for men in particular. So LTAM wants to be the leader in that. So go over to LTAMnow.com, make your donations, sign up for the sign up so that you can be in the lifetime thing. Remember, in order to qualify, though, you have to subscribe, you have to like, and you have to sign up on LTAMnow.com. Okay, it's a real simple step, but as soon as you got that, you're in like Flynn. Cool. So we got another one for you here. This is Patrick Bet David. This is an amazing video. It's another one of those eye-opening situations that if you come into the conversation open, ready to listen, ready to absorb others' perspective and perception, you might learn something today. And it's really cool because in some of the other videos, I'm noticing some people are saying this is eye-opening. Some lady shared on Facebook. I saw something to the effect that this is, interesting and wow, I never knew that. I never thought of these things. So that's what LTAM is all about. We want to just open up the conversation. We don't want to shame, defame, blame. What we want to do is we want to have a conversation because we all make mistakes. We all do things messed up at times. And it'd be great if we could just learn from those mistakes and help the next generation, maybe help a friend or a family member with better advice, right? So that we can kind of move into a better world. Because I don't know about you guys, but I'm noticing a pretty big shift here. I'm noticing a lot of things that they just don't feel right. And we need leaders to change that. So let's go, guys. So, are you ready to rumble? Let's go.
What is it to be a man's man today? And I grew up wanting to be a man's man. That's what you wanted to be. But today it's toxic masculinity, right? You're hearing it everywhere. People are being canceled for being a man's man. But the reality of it is, 1944, a man's man was storming the beaches of Normandy, and they knew most of them were going to lose their lives. But they're like, no, I'm doing this because this is what men are supposed to do. Today, people are storming the beaches of their couch to play Call of Duty. 40, 50 years ago, without social media, we have to go learn how to pick up girls and flirt and have lines and be rejected. Today, you just got to swipe right. Years ago, you have to learn how to hunt to get your food. Today, you just call Uber Eats. Lots changed. Are men becoming pansies? Are they becoming soft? Are we becoming passive? Like, oh my gosh, betas? Is that what's happening? I got a bunch of data I want to talk to you about that has to do with what we bench pressed 30 years ago versus today's squat. Our grip strength, a bunch of different things that are influencing men to become softer. And for some of you that are watching this that completely disagree with my message, I would love to have you watch this message and post your commentary below at the end of the video.
Us too. Comment below your thoughts. Yeah.
Stick around till the very end. I got a quiz for you to take to know exactly what you're driven by. But it's important for us to look at some of the data to know if this is just gibberish or how are men really viewed and what kind of a life.
it's important to look at the data and facts and truth every time. Okay, when someone tries to lead a conversation with how I feel, you tell them to take a walk, take a breath, and come back when they're ready to talk like a big boy or big girl. Let's go.
Men live today. Before we get into it, I just want to give you some stats on, is there any relevance in men really struggling today? Like they can't find themselves. Are they really becoming softer or not? Scott Galloway wrote an article. The title was "The Most Dangerous Person in the World is a Young Man Who's Broke and Alone." Let me read some of the statistics that he has in this article. Men are more likely to use almost all types of illicit drugs at a higher rate than women, thus their higher prevalence of emergency room visits and inpatient substance abuse treatment. 93% of prison inmates are male, as are 98% of all death row inmates. Men are dramatically more likely to be homeless and for longer periods of time. Men now account for 41% of college enrollments, down from 60% in 1970. Men are twice as likely to overdose, 3.5 times more likely to commit suicide, and more than 9 times more likely to be incarcerated. A recent study revealed that 9 out of 10 mass violent attackers were male, and more than 2/3 of them were under the age of 35. Once again, the most dangerous person in the world is a broke and alone young male. Scott Galloway recommends 3 things. Start making money. We are living in a capitalist society. Get super strong. You want to be fit. You want to lift heavy weights and run long distances in your mind and in the gym. And last but not least, get out there. Commit to meeting people. And quite frankly, try having sex. So interesting 3 points he makes, right? Start making money today. Get super strong and finally get out and commit to meeting people. But are we not stronger today than we were before? Let's take a look at some data to see if men are stronger today than maybe 20 or 30 years ago. There's 3 things I want to look at. I want to look at our bench press to the floor, squat, as well as your grip strength. They say your grip strength is a strong predicator of mortality in later life. So are we stronger today or before? Here's what the numbers tell us. So they surveyed 1,800 lifters ages 20 to 39 to see what the average bench press was 30 years ago versus today. And here's what they came up with. What the average man could bench press 30 years ago versus today. 30 years ago was 240 pounds versus today 187 pounds. Squat was 277 versus today 225. So when you look at this data, how do you process it? Grip strength, bench, squat, like, why are we looking at this data? Maybe, just maybe, they're trying to get women to become stronger and men to become weaker. Maybe I'm wrong. I will tell you, at our Vault conference, we have with a couple thousand people there, business owners, entrepreneurs. I challenge everybody to go do a certain questionnaire the first night, and the next they come and share their breakthrough with everybody. While I'm going through everyone, a lady sitting right here, like 7 rows right there, she gets up and she says, "Patrick, I have to tell you my breakthrough last night." I said, "What is it?" She said, "For the last 20 years, all I've been trying to do is compete against men to prove that I can make as much money as they make. I'm strong. I don't need them. I'm independent. I run a very successful salon. I do very well for myself. Everybody that works with me makes great money. I'm very, very..."
Run! Run! Run away! Run away from her! Run! Run!
Successful right now. To my friends, to my peers. I said, "Okay, Ann, what are you doing with this? What's wrong with that?" She said, "The breakthrough I have yesterday is men are not the enemy. I want a husband. I want to get married. I want to have a family." How interesting is that, right?
You know what sucks too, I'm noticing, is that when it comes down to it, once the majority of the women that I've been meeting realize this, it's at the point of no return. Like this is part of why LTAM exists as well too. I'm sick of watching these 40, 50, 35, 30-year-old women with kids and businesses and all this stuff, living it up early on, getting all the cool pictures on Facebook and Instagram and showing everybody how good their life is and all this stuff. And then the second half of life hits, and nobody wants to hang out with an old lady with 2 kids. They just don't. I mean, there's a new 21-year-old turning 21 every single day. So it's not like there's like unlimited options that are coming up. So it's, I mean, if I was advising a young girl, I would say something to the effect of like, don't sleep around with as many men as possible before you get married. As a matter of fact, I'd recommend holding off till you get married, because one of the things, LTAM is about facts and stats, right? So remember, go get your Googles on. wrong way. Go get your Googles on. Okay? After this, you take responsibility. You take accommodation. You become accountable is what you do. And you jump on the Googles and you type this in, right? You got your Googles up? You got your Googles up?
Is men are not the enemy. I want a husband. I want to get married. I want to have a family. I want.
I forgot what I was saying, so we're just going to keep going. Let's go.
Interesting is that, right? The person she wanted to beat the entire time, now she wants to marry. How many endless videos can we see with women in their 60s who bought into the feminist movement to make men and women equal are sitting there saying, I regret making that decision because I'm single, never been married, don't have any kids, and I'm alone. And I wish I would have married men. I wish I would have had kids because I wouldn't have been alone today. Next point is a lack of male role models.
I hope you have the Googles out, because what I was going to say is I would advise a young girl to wait till she's married, right? To have, you know what? Because there's studies that show that if a woman is a virgin at the time of being married, first and only partner, she has an 85% chance of living a happy and fulfilled life with her husband for the next 10 years. They found that if you have 5 bodies, 5, it goes down to 35% of having a happy next 10 years with your husband. That's a dramatic drop. So I want you to think about that. So they studied up to 5. Do you think that the more bodies you have, the chances of being happy with your child's father or your potential long-term mate, so that you have someone to be with in your elderly ages? And trust me, y'all think like 40 is like young still. But I'm going to be honest with you. It is, but it isn't, right? It is, but it isn't. So that would be the advice I have. Let's go. Lack of male role models. This is true too.
Boy's life or man's life. So if you look at some data here in 2019, some 15 million children in the United States were living with a single mother. That's about 5 times more than those living with a single father. As divorce rates rise and family courts continue to favor mothers, the amount of boys living without a dad will continue to grow. So why is this so important? Well, there are certain things I can tell my boys that my wife can't tell them, period. I can go tell my boys we're going outside and we're playing. They have to listen to it. I can go tell my boys you have to read 20 pages a day. They may tell Mom, I'm good. I don't need to read today. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. There's just certain things my dad could have told me that my mom couldn't tell me. There's a very, very big value that men have in a boy's life. But the more divorces we get and the more fatherless homes that we have, men don't know what it is to be a man's man. Matter of fact, let's look at a complete different angle. Most kids who go to school, most teachers are women. Most teachers are not men. So just recently I had my kids watch Captain, the documentary about Derek Jeter. And there's a scene in this documentary where Derek Jeter is drafted by the Yankees. His dream becomes a reality. He always wanted to be a shortstop for them because his dad was a shortstop. He goes, but he's not doing well. He's making errors. He's making mistakes. He's doing all this stuff, and he's having anxiety attacks. He's depressed almost, and he makes a phone call to his house. Mom's talking to Derek, and Mom says, son, why don't you just come home? The father says, when I heard my wife saying this to Jeter, he says, I told her, don't tell him that. He can't know that's an option. So now, let's replay this. Say the father's not in the picture.
All right, single dads out there, I want you to comment below. How many times has that happened? That you went and told the mother of your children, you guys, something like that, right? They need to complete this task. They cannot give up right now. You need to take away those video games. You need to get them outside and messing around and having fun. You got to make sure they get good grades. They can't get everything that they want. You got to be strong, steadfast, and a leader. How many times have you had that conversation with your ex-wife or girlfriend or just the mother of your kids, right? That conversation is very normal nowadays. And because of the power imbalance, and the spitefulness that I've been seeing out there in the world, that shouldn't be a hard conversation to have because it comes with this, the basic respect that we should get as fathers, right? But we know that junk ain't, just comment below. Just, okay. All right, let's go.
Say the mom's able to convince their cheater to come home because no mother wants to see their son suffer. And she's witnessing her son Derek suffer. But the father says, that's what builds character. Let him go through it. If that doesn't happen, you don't have a 5-time World Series champion, a few $100 million, one of the greatest Yankees of all time, 3,400 hits. If that simple call by the father wasn't made, you and I may not know what Derek Jeter is. So what's the point here? So maybe men today need stronger role models to challenge them and to show them it is okay to go through challenges. It is okay to have to fight through. This is a part of becoming a man's man, and it's natural. Next point is the walking on eggshells society that we're living in today. And what do I mean by walking on eggshells? People are afraid of offending today, okay? So when you're...
Tell me about it. Everybody's offended right now. Everybody's offended. It's ridiculous the amount of people that are just offended. I'm offended. Like I can't take it anymore, to be honest with you. But are men weak or is society weak, right? Let's go.
Afraid of offending, you don't want to share your opinion, and the way people learn who you really are is by sharing your opinion and feelings about different issues. Now, in our family, I talk about 4 things with my boys. We lead, we respect, we improve, we love. We respect. Let's talk about that. If you constantly spend your life disrespecting people, you're eventually going to be alone and not successful in business because it doesn't work out if you want to disrespect everybody. People are not going to stick around in a work environment if you're disrespecting them. People are not going to be with you friendship-wise if you're constantly disrespecting them and judging them. And quite frankly, you're going to be by yourself. Now, offending is a different story. Today, they're trying very, very hard to cause men to be careful with their thoughts and what they say. And God forbid you say something that's going to offend somebody, you're walking on eggshells. I don't know many leaders that I call leaders who walk on eggshells that are not comfortable sharing their thoughts on different issues. They share their thoughts, but they get better at their soft skills to know how to deliver their messages better. That's something you're going to get better at for the rest of your life. But walking on eggshell society where you're sitting there by yourself, not really sharing your thoughts, it's as if you don't exist, you're non-existent. And that's just not what men do. The next thing
and that's one of the reasons things are happening the way they are, right? 132 men a day. Can't take it anymore. Can't take it anymore. Because they can't even be who they naturally are. Imagine if we said you couldn't be who you naturally are. Imagine if I walked around the street saying I'm 8 feet tall and it made everybody, have to agree with me. But I'm 6 foot tall. It's just a weird place, it's not a good place to be. So we need to say stuff now. People, guys and girls, because there's a lot of guys and girls that have been getting DMs, I've been getting comments, I've been getting all this crazy stuff of women as well, saying, this is bullshit. Like, this is crazy. And I'm like, wow. So it is really incumbent upon us to take action and speak up. Look at Andrew Tate. They try to silence him on every level. And if you notice one thing that was very, 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 very interesting about his situation is that when he got off of the social media, everybody else amplified his voice, so he is unstoppable. If we do that amongst ourselves as well, right? By sharing these kind of videos, letting your friends and family see this stuff, allow, sit down, have a little popcorn, a little event, watch some of my videos. Watch some of the LTAM videos. Watch some of Just Pearly things, Kevin Samuels. And you know what? Everybody's got a slightly different spin on the delivery of the message, but the truth is that it's consistent, and the outcome is showing that men's voice need to be heard, respected, and you have to attempt to understand what's going on, because if you throw it off, it's not going to be good for society in general, including the feminists that are fighting against this. So, let's go.
I want to talk about is competition. Society wants to convince you that competition is not healthy for you. By the way, the same people that are selling you that are those who lost, who don't know how to handle it. The reality of it is, socialist boys have limited options. Capitalist men have unlimited options in every aspect of their life. Where they live, where they travel to, where they eat, who they date, anything you want. They have an unlimited supply of options, and unfortunately, those who don't compete don't like the fact that you have more options. You know, when I was 14 years old, I was playing in this basketball association for troubled teenagers. I'm in a league with Marasa Batrucha, with Black Diamonds, with, the Sureños, 18, with the Blood Creek, all these guys. And one day, we're in this tournament, and only 5 of our players showed up, and we played against a team that had a full lineup, and we lost by 104 points. They gave us this trophy that my dad has till today, a last place trophy, and he puts it right there, and he says, you know why we have this trophy? To remind you how bad you lost. It's almost like, experience the pain, son. And I'm like, dude, throw that thing away. He says, no, you lost by 104 points.
Yeah.
Look at the psyche of a father. A mother would say, why would you do that to him? That hurts his feeling. My dad's like, that's exactly what he needs. The pain of a loss makes a man come back and improve. Makes him stay up late at night practicing while everybody else is sleeping. Makes this guy say, one day I'm going to prove to the world that I'm a winner. So, going back to you. There's nothing wrong with competing. There's nothing wrong with losing. As long as you keep showing up and competing, eventually you're going to get your shot. But you're better off being a capitalist than being a...
Exactly. Jordan Peterson, I love him. He says something so interesting. He says, you got to let little kids do dangerous things carefully. Nothing gets me more irritated that when you go to a playground and you see this little kid having the time of their life, and they're kind of pushing the edge, they're climbing on that thing that they wanted to climb on for the first time, they're a little scared and whatever, and nothing pisses me off more than when you're sitting there and you see this mom just like, oh my God, they're trying. Calm down, lady. He's just climbing the monkey bars.
Socialist, because being a socialist is just not attractive. Final thoughts here. Look, as you're going through the process from being a boy to a man, or from a man to a man's man, many times you're by yourself. Say you don't have a father figure. Say you don't have a strong male role model. You don't know who to talk to. You're trying to please everybody. Your mom's telling you, well, that's not the way to behave, and you don't have another man to bounce off the idea to think if it's a good idea or not. You're like, okay, I'm going to please my mom. I'm going to please my teacher, who's a woman. I'm going to please my girl, who's a female. I'm going to please my girlfriend's mom. You're trying to please everybody, and you become...
And that's how simps are born. That's how simps are born. We say, stop simping and start pimping.
Less and less and less of a man. And you're in the car by yourself saying, man, I'm losing my identity. I don't even know who I am. Then you lean towards making bad decisions. Look, take the time out away from everybody and sit down and say, what do I stand for? What are your values and principles? What do you stand for as a man? What do you want to do with your life? What kind of a leader do you want to be in your life? You. Who do you want to be? Not what everybody's trying to force you to become. Who do you want to be? Then go solve for that. And when you do that, be prepared for some people to not like it. That includes a lot of women in your life.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm finding more men like myself out there. Fantastic. They're out there. They're everywhere. You can find them. Just like yourself. You are not the only one that's thinking what you're thinking right now. But you want to be a man's man. The world gives you more opportunities when you do so. We are living in a very, very competitive environment. So if you got value from this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I got 2 things I want to share with you. One, I made another video titled 20 Rules for a Young...
So, gonna wrap that up real quick. It's funny because, you sit here and you wonder, why do I think these ways? Why am I alone on this island? And if this proves anything to you, you're not alone. You're fine. You have support. All you gotta do is come to LTAM, chime in, help us build this community. We'll be here for each other. We'll be able to bounce those ideas off each other. We'll be able to make a difference. But one thing I do want to note here is, holy crap, how important are men in a child's life? How important? I mean, think about this closely, very, very, very closely. There are women out there right now that think it's okay. They think it's fine to go out there and build a career, go to work, and never invite a man into the house in their children's younger age. It doesn't even have to be their dad. Like it could be like a new man that they love and that they respect, and they start to build a life together with, to show their kids, hey, male role models are important in the house, not like your uncle or your grandfather, the guy you see every once a week. No, the guy sitting on the couch, the guy that shows up every single day and gives some insight. But I'm telling you, I see too many of the ladies out there just negating their children from their fathers, and they create a backstory and defame these guys and put them through the ringer. Put them through the ringer. Talk so much trash about them to their kids. Create situations that aren't even real. I get too many DMs. I get too many phone calls. I get too many everything to not see how important men are in a child's life. So get out there, guys, girls. Be brave. Tell people, show people these videos. Let them know they're not alone. Remember, there's 132 guys a day. Just by showing them these LTAM videos, you might be able to save one yourself. So make sure you subscribe. Turn on the notification bell, like, share, and tell a friend about LTAMnow.com as well, too, to sign up for that monthly cash giveaway starting in March. We love you all out there. We'll make it together. LTAM. We out.